Hey everybody, welcome to Away Games, a Chicago Cubs podcast, which is now back to a two-man podcast. You can follow us everywhere on Twitter, on Instagram, at Away Games Pod, where you will find either me, Kevin McCaffrey, tweeting and posting things, or you will find this guy, Adam Mamawala, doing the same.
Yes, you can find me there. I'll be honest, I had not ever done a solo podcast until last week, and it is a little challenging.
It is because there's no, I mean, when there's pauses, there's nothing to to spur on a new idea. You just sort of have to. When I did it, I found that the challenge was to not sort of. It's hard to not have the blanks and then still have another idea to do, because if you're not, I don't want to say psychotic, but you don't usually, as a human, you're not usually speaking out loud by yourself for like 30 minutes at a go,
Right.
Yeah.
But I made it through. It was a 20-minute pod. I didn't want to push it. I didn't want to test the limits of what our loyal listeners would what our lawyer would
what our lawyers suggest we should and should not do.
We have gone to court with DraftKings over $30. We're really draining our funds here, but
we legitimately are owed $30 fucking from DraftKings since February. God damn it! So go to FanDuel. And the Cubs are playing still. Adam, how much Cubs have you watched this week? How much have you been taking in?
I will say I did not watch really any of the Cardinals series. I was up at a very bougie and waspy wedding in Connecticut.
Nice,
where there are many wasps, and I
was stung all over the place.
Constant stings. I did get to watch. So last night I did really something so obscene that it was testing the limits of my relationship with my girlfriend. Last night, I had the Nick Kyrgios tennis match on the TV. On my laptop, I had the Chicago Sky playoff game. And on my phone below the laptop, I had the Cubs game. So
incredible.
That should give you some sense of where I put the Cubs in terms of power rankings, that they're now below the WNBA. All due respect, the WNBA, which had two incredible games last night.
Yeah, so I should know. I saw Vegas won. I didn't see if the Sky won.
The Sky got their asses kicked, but they were up 2-1. So now they're going back to a Game 5 in Chicago. And I don't know if you saw this. I went to a Chicago Sky game on Sunday.
I did not, but that was a good one. I watched some of that.
Yeah. So the wedding was in Connecticut, and then when the Sky were advancing in the playoffs, I saw that they were playing the Sun, and I was like, that'd be kind of cool if they were playing. And so the wedding was a Saturday night, and then the Sky played the Sun at the Mohegan Sun Casino, basically.
Right.
Like 20 minutes from where we just happened to be at a wedding. So after some cajoling, I was like, we have to go to this game. I mean, it's a 1:00 Sunday game.
Right.
Like, when else would we be here? And it was quite fun.
Yeah, I've been following the Sky a little bit, and this tells you how the Cubs season is going, by the way. That we are now a Chicago Sky podcast, but it's Candace Parker rules. She's so fun to watch. She's been around. She makes me feel better because I feel
36.
It's like when I was young, she was young. So it's like I remember her since her high school days in in Naperville and stuff, like around where I grew up. So it's fun to see, and I think the way you put it, this is a good way to rank local teams, to rank players, whatever. You could have constant power rankings where you're like, who's the TV team, who's the laptop team, who's the iPad team, and who's the phone team.
Yeah, I think as far as my Cubs fandom is concerned, the lowest that I will ever put them is like, I'm still checking in during the game. I'm still very much aware of like who is doing well, who's not doing well, what the score was. At like the least that I'll ever do is only watch the condensed game.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know how much you use that resource of like the 10-minute kind of recap of what happened, but
Condensed game is great, and I have used it this year, and I should remember to use it a little bit more because that is a really nice option to focus your highlights. So it's if you guys don't have it, the MLB TV option, which I don't even know if people, since neither of us is in Chicago, I don't know if that's affected by blackouts. I assume people can watch afterwards, but on that little function. But it's a good one. That's I think that's a good place to put it. The Cubs are always, they have every benefit of the doubt for me. They're the closest team to my heart whatever. But this
Mm,
this year obviously has they've faded away a little bit. I'm wearing a British soccer team hat right now. I'm wearing a Tottenham hat, and
right.
that's what I'm paying more attention to at this point.
And
Um,
also, I think as someone who is in a relationship and you know a much longer relationship than me, you're married to someone. I'm sure Jamie understands your commitment and love for the Cubs. But
yeah.
all that being said, if you are missing out on social obligations to watch a Cubs team that is 25 games under 500, you're the problem.
Yeah, yeah. If it's yes, if there's an issue, if there's an argument, and that's the move, we have to reluctantly vote against you, the person,
Yeah.
whoever that is, you in that scenario. Because yeah, there are things to watch. So yesterday, the most interesting thing that happened was a debut by the pitcher who Scott Efros was traded for.
Hmm.
Hayden Wesneski came up and made his debut, and it couldn't have really gone any better. He went 5 innings in relief. Rarely see that, and 8 strikeouts, I believe. And I
Did he
want to,
already get some love from Pitching Ninja? I have to imagine he made some appearances
you
there.
know,
That,
I
that
haven't.
ball was moving all over the place.
Yeah, the slider was is I think from what Scott said, and it seems like the slider is his big put away pitch, and it seemed to really fool people. I mean,
Yeah.
it moved very far to the left, which if you read Hayden's tweets might be something that disappoints him. But he the slider really swings to the left really hard, and the changeup even looked good, which I think is it wasn't something from what I read about him that it didn't seem like that was too big of a weapon for him. But man,
Right.
it was a dropping, fading, 88 mile an hour ish changeup. Not a ton of separation. The fastball is up. I think it was
Hmm.
touched as high as 96 as I saw, but was more around 94.
Right.
It looked like a good arsenal.
Yeah, but I mean the ultimate line on him was what, 5 innings, no runs, 8 strikeouts.
Yeah. I mean, that's obviously basically perfect. So it was
Right.
against a bad Reds team, sure. And as Hayden himself said in the interview afterwards, it helped that it was a heavily right-handed lineup for him. He seemed to say that he feels much closer, more comfortable against righties. And yeah, but I mean, it was that's everything you wanted to see out of a guy's first start.
Yeah, and do we think there's a chance that down the stretch here he will start some games from inning number one?
It seems like I mean, if you're willing to let him go five out of
Right.
the
What's the
bullpen,
difference?
it seems like they certainly would be willing to have him start. But I think the officially stated plan right now, and what I think there's a good chance might be the plan at the beginning of next year too, is sort of the Keegan Thompson thing, where you have this guy who can go several innings out of the pen, a guy who you're sort of acclimating to the league in this way, letting him get comfortable in longer stints out of the pen before you shift him into the a starting role. But I mean, I don't know why. Yeah, if you're willing to let him go five in a game,
Right.
you would be willing to start him, even if maybe that might take some another starter getting injured or something. And I mean, Wade Miley just came back. Remember Wade Miley?
Yeah, Wade Miley is kind of the weird, like, forgotten man of this team. Like, just when I forget that he exists, he'll make a start, and I'm like, oh yeah, we do still have that guy.
Right, he's still on the team. And at this point in the year, I'm sort of like, why are we starting Wade Miley? I mean, I
Yeah.
guess I think the answer is he's one of the best starting pitchers on the team, which is a fine enough answer in a league where you should, you should have integrity about how you play, even when it doesn't matter. Even though at this point, I would like to get into the lottery for the number one overall pick, which I
Mm.
believe is the worst six teams. The Cubs are 2 games out of the worst six. But yeah, I mean, it also could be a thing where you're just doing a guy a solid because obviously it helps him if he's putting something on paper this year, like him putting some stuff on tape,
Right.
pitching against major league hitting at the end of this year. Because, Miley's he's older, but he had a great year last year and he looked good this year before he got hurt. And I do wonder, both him and Drew Smiley have said really good things about their experience here with the Cubs, even though it
Mhm.
hasn't, obviously gone how you would plan team wise. So I wonder if part of seeing Miley still starting now is if the Cubs are thinking about, making some sort of a low money but mutually beneficial offer to one one or both of those guys to have a solid veteran in the rotation next year.
Yeah, I mean that sort of signing would scream of the like sign the guy for 1 million, but then have a bunch of like innings and strikeout base, like
Exactly.
basically how much are
Incentives,
you
yeah.
going to pitch? Yeah, I have a bunch of incentives that could bump it up to 3 4 million, something like that. Which, yeah, I mean I would be fine with a Smiley or Miley being like a bottom of the end starter for the Cubs next year. I think there's always a risk when you're going with somebody who's on the older side, but I mean, that's what most teams have is like a Patrick Corbin at the end of a rotation.
Yeah, yeah, right. So I could see that if you got them, as you say, at the back of the rotation. I think that's fine. Smiley's obviously outside of the Cardinals, like pitched really well this year too. So yeah, but I mean, this is Wesneski is a guy who I think most likely the plan is to sort of do the Keegan Thompson thing at the beginning of next year, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that he's considered for a starting spot. So that's exciting, starting to see who might be in the starting rotation going forward from these out of these young guys.
Now, did we, of the people who were called up in Toronto as a result of a couple of players not being vaccinated and traveling with the Cubs, did either
Yeah,
of them get
Samson
in
and
a
Steele.
game? Yeah.
So Samson and Steele are not vaccinated, still getting their research done on that, and so they could not go to Toronto. We've got links if they need to read any, but whatever. I think that's probably past past its point at this point. So the guys who got called up, the main one that I saw was very exciting. So Jeremiah Estrada came up. And if you don't know the history of Jeremiah Estrada, he was a guy who was drafted. I believe he was an overslot signing. I want to say the 5th or 6th round when he was drafted out of high school. And he was a guy who had sort of had flashed potential first or second round talent and then got hurt. And the Cubs, snagged him and got enough money to sign him away from college commitments. And it's been kind of a long run. And now he looks incredible. He was pumping 98, 99. No one could see this ball. And I saw a metric about it. So basically, however he releases the ball, whatever vertical spin he puts on it, the rising action of the ball, which isn't literally rising, but to the hitter, it's what appears to be rising. It's basically as good as there is in the major leagues. So
wow,
it's at the very top of it. So you're talking like prime Kimbrel sort of metrics on this fastball, and he has a really plus slider too. I mean, I just I think this year especially, I'm big on tempering expectations with guys with these with the prospects that come up, because I think understandably in a year this bad at the major league level, I think maybe sometimes people can tend to get too excited about a farm system that still is not elite in this league. There's exciting guys, sure, but I think Jeremiah Estrada is a closer. I think he is a closer. He is I think worst case, quote worst. I mean, a late inning setup guy. I think he's just a straight up keeper who's on your major league roster all next year.
And he doesn't have any of the kind of Dylan Maples control issues.
Definitely doesn't have Maples control issues. I'll pull up his stats right now to see if we can go in there a little deeper. But basically, the stuff is crazy. He's been nasty all year in the minors, and then seeing him play at the major league level is great. I think this is a legitimate bullpen, like back of the pen keeper that we have here. So that's one good thing that came out of two pitchers not making the trip down there. So let's see. Okay, in 2022, Estrada, whip of 1.06. So not too many walks there. You'll take that.
That is very good.
Mm-hmm.
So who's next? So we've now seen Wesneski. Who is the next person or people that we're going to see in your estimation?
I mean, there's probably just not that much more at the major league level this year. I think what you're going to see is, I think you're actively not going to see Matt Mervis, who just hit his 30th homer, a first base prospect.
Yeah.
30th homer. You're probably not going to see him, I think, just because if you bring him up, I believe you have to make the 40-man decision. And I think there's almost no way you don't see Matt Mervis at the major league level next year, but the Cubs are going to be doing a lot of reshuffling at the end of the 40-man roster
Right.
over this offseason. Doing the thing they love to do, just looking at waiver wires. Just Jed Hoyer's
Yep.
favorite thing is just shopping a waiver.
Well, their other favorite thing to do, they've also done as of yesterday, which is wait 5 days too long to put a player on the IL. In this case, Wilson Contreras.
Wilson Contreras and I mean Justin Steele too was also just went on the IL after missing obviously after missing a start because he's not vaccinated, and also and the start would have been in Toronto, and because he had lower back issues too, they said so. Again, waited past his turn to put him on the injured list, so they're getting the Chris Bryant treatment.
Yeah, I've just entered the my fantasy playoffs started yesterday. I'm the number one seed. I had a real bounce back year. My team name was called Revenge Tour, not to be confused with my fantasy football team I just drafted called Easy Mooney in honor of Darrell Mooney.
Oh, that's pretty good.
But yeah, Contreras and Scherzer being on the IL during the playoffs, not great for me.
No. No, that's tough. And did you pick up Steele too? I had Steele in my fantasy league.
I did not. If
Okay.
there's anything I'm beating myself up about a little bit, it's that like I was not fast enough on some of the Cubs who turned out to have really good seasons. Like I didn't scoop up Morel when he started to get hot. I don't have Horner. I didn't get Steele when Keegan Thompson was going well. I didn't have him. I did pick up. I wrote a heater on Franmil Reyes, and
Nice.
I got some nice production out of the Franimal, but. Are you in the fantasy playoffs in your league?
I am, and fantasy team name wise, I'm in this league where, I mean, at this point, it's probably 10 years ago. I filled in for a guy who dropped out, and it's a group of dudes. It's a bunch of like TV producers who are several years older than me, so it's like a high school class or two ahead. But they all used to work at MTV, so it tends to be a lot of baseball / music names, and this isn't an MTV thing, but it is a pretty good Cub name I'm proud of. Carry On My Hayward Son. And this is, I think, has to be the last year since he's gone. That was my team name coming into this one.
And I spell Carey with a K, almost like a double, Carey.
I should have, and I didn't. I should have workshopped it with you. And then last year I had Jock Strope, which was the combination for.
That was in our league with all the other Cubs people that like no one ended up checking a lot, and you just beat the shit out of everyone.
I just absolutely ran roughshod over everybody in the Cubs. Yeah, the Cubs like social media league, right? It was the Cubs related dudes. Our friend Greg Huss from from our Young Cubs podcast. So yeah.
But anyway, apologies for the tangent. The point is, we're probably not going to see Mervis. Doesn't. I feel like they've specifically said we're not going to see Brennan Davis. I don't expect that.
No, but the good news is that Brennan Davis is playing again.
Right.
Because
initially that looked like the sort of injury that might shut him down for the year. Because it was, what was the exact injury again that Davis had?
He had back surgery, so he, it was I forget exactly what the injury was termed, but it was like, serious enough to go under the knife with your back, which is not what you want to see. But he's back, and he's taken real live at bats. He was in South Bend, I believe. His first at bat back, he got beamed in the hip. So it's just it's harkening back to the early days of Brennan, where every time he'd get on a run, he would get he'd break a finger getting beamed. Not injuries. He's not doing anything wrong, just bad luck. So yeah, Brennan's. We're not going to see him at the major league level, but the great thing is that he's back and taking at bats again. And I don't know if they might send him to the Arizona Fall League to get him some more at bats too, because that's a guy you really want to be in contention for a roster spot pretty early next year.
Yeah. Dakota Meckes, we getting him in a game?
I mean, I would love to see it.
Poor guy.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want him to be the guy who's like always in AAA and never even gets to the show.
Right. I would love to see it. I don't know that it will happen. I mean, I'm looking across the Cubs' top prospects. Alexander Canario is a guy so the Cubs have two minor leaguers who hit 30 homers this year. Canario and Mervis. So I think Canario is a guy who's got to be, I think has to be put on the 40-man anyway. So you I think you just could call him up, but I don't think there's really plans to. Yeah, I mean the only other guy I could maybe see getting called, it would be a called backup if they brought Caleb Killian back up. But it seems like if Wesneski's coming up now, then it seems like the decision has been made not to bring Killian back up.
Right.
So yeah, so I think what we've got is what we've got until the off season.
How much of the Cubs have you watched in the past week? Did you watch much of the weekend series?
No, I did not. I listened to a good amount of it on the radio because I was driving around the Midwest a lot. I went to speaking of sporting events that aren't the Cubs that we went to this week, I went to the Notre Dame Ohio State game in Columbus on
Oh, cool.
Saturday, which was crazy.
Is that like 100,000 people?
It was 106,000. So
Jesus.
yeah, and my parents went to Notre Dame, so they're big fans, and my dad really wanted someone to go with him, and so
Yeah,
so I met up with
very
him
cool.
there. But I was listening to a lot on the radio, and I just gotta say having driven around the Midwest a lot, going between stand up shows and stuff lately,
Mhm.
the wins above replacement that Pat Hughes brings you cannot be overstated. Like when he's in the booth,
Yeah.
it makes so much of a difference. It's crazy.
Yeah, whenever the time comes that he leaves, that's going to be really tough because I felt upset when Len Casper left, but honestly, like I've been pretty happy with the Cubs TV broadcasts. Like I don't necessarily, I feel like I don't actively miss Len Casper every day. I feel like if I were listening to the radio and Pat Hughes were not there, especially if it's like just, Zach and Ron at that point, it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I agree. Yes, to denigrate no one else, you just notice immediately every nuance that Pat Hughes so
Right.
seamlessly brings you.
Hmm.
And yeah, I agree. I think it's an interesting thing how much I don't miss Len Casper, and I don't mean that to like shit on him, but I think he's just, I don't know. The Cubs broadcast booths is something where it almost feels kind of meathead to say it, but like I feel like you really have to be one of us. You have to be here for real, for the long haul.
Hmm.
And I mean, I think obviously Harry Carey felt like that. I think Pat Hughes does, and I think Len Casper is like, you know, just primarily a baseball guy as opposed to he never he I feel like he never fully got quote unquote like fully cubsed like in a way which is great for him. He's a good national broadcaster too, and I mean Boog
Right.
Shambi you could say is sort of the same thing. Who knows if it could get deeper from here, but yeah, I think if you leave the Cubs booth for any other team's booth, I think it's just like, okay, well, you were never fully one of us, and that's fine. I respect and love your time, but that's not a choice a real ass Cub would ever make. So
Right.
I think, yeah, you wish Casper the best, but I agree. It's like I haven't missed him much. I think I'd miss JD more.
Yeah, that I feel like that did help soften the blow is that JD stuck around. But yeah, I mean, not even to shit on anyone that much, but like anytime I go to listen to the Cubs on a Sunday, and then I
Hmm.
remember, oh yeah, Pat Hughes does the Sunday TV because Shambi is doing
Hmm.
ESPN. Like it is that kind of sinking feeling of when you drive past a Chick-fil-A sign on a Sunday, and then you remember, like, oh fuck,
Yeah, this
not
is
available today.
yes, yes. For God, this cannot happen. And I gotta say, I like Boog. I like Boog. Pat
Hmm.
Hughes JD is the best booth. I
Oh,
think
it's
that
great.
it's
Yeah.
like he's so good on TV too. If I that is the booth I like best.
And that's
Uh,
also not that easy to do. Like it's
no,
not easy to go. It's a very different muscle to broadcast TV versus radio.
yeah, absolutely. He's just got it like that. So yeah, Pat Hughes forever. What? Yeah. So I mean, I haven't in this stretch. I haven't been watching much Cubs. I watched a little bit of yesterday's game, and I watched an absolute goofball of a first inning defensively. We had
Yeah.
Madrigal whipping the ball past Nico on a double play, and then Seiya having a real clown show in right field on a pop up. Turned it into
Yeah,
a
that's been a
triple.
little disappointing, has it not? I mean, I feel like this is no longer anomalous behavior here. I feel like Seiya has not overly been impressive in right field as much as I thought he might be.
I I agree. The scouting report was that he was a plus defensive right fielder, won Gold Gloves in Japan, and could play center in a pinch. And
Right.
I don't think he can play center, and the right field defense has been I don't know if the metrics rate out as average, but it's certainly not
Mhm.
better than that. The arm is very strong. The arm's good, but he just hasn't. Yeah, he just hasn't really played pop ups and fly balls convincingly this year, and that's one of those things where he's a rookie, and he's been very good offensively lately, so that's been
Mhm.
cool to see. He just missed so much time in the middle of the year. I think like you got to give the guy credit for adjusting to the league offensively, but I don't think there's much of a defensive adjustment to the major leagues. You know what I
Right.
mean? The ball is the ball. You go get it in the outfield.
Yeah, it's a really good point because I think if there were any area where he would have struggled, it would have made much more sense that it was offensively than defensively.
Yeah, and he did struggle a lot in the middle of the year, and then over the past month, he's been very good offensively. It's I think WRC plus of over 130, so it's like that's exactly what you want to see. So that's great to see. But yeah, I think the defense has to be what it is. I mean, he's Ian Happ's age, like which is not old, but it's not like he's not fresh to right field either.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't even speculate as to what the difference would be other than just his comfort level in general of playing in the major leagues versus playing where he was playing. But like, I don't think the drop off is that significant. Like, it's hard for me to say like, oh well, the exit velos are so much higher in Major League Baseball that maybe that's affecting some of his routes. Like, I don't think that's true. I don't follow any of the Japanese leagues, but like I feel like they're pretty fucking good.
Yeah, it's a very very good league, and yeah, so I think it's a little disappointing to see what is the defense isn't the plus. At least he's fine out there, I think overall, but it doesn't seem to be the plus that we thought it was going to be. But on the bright side, the bat is coming around a little bit. So yeah, and it's just I mean. He's locked up for the next 4 years. Obviously, Ian Happ's there for next year, and then most of the Cubs' best prospects are all outfielders. So I think like going into
Right.
this, going into on the offensive side at least. So I think going into this offseason and into next season is when we're going to see, someone get traded from that outfield mix, and then other guys, move up the chain a little bit.
I don't think we need Rafael Ortega to be part of the team's future.
God bless Rafael Ortega. We're good. We're good on Ortega's. I think at this
Yeah,
at this point, and
I wish him well.
yeah, wish him absolutely well. Go somewhere else. Say hi to Michael Hermosillo wherever he is. I actually do think Hermosillo maybe just started playing again, which I hope he gets healthy and catches on somewhere too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think center field will not be an Ortega situation next year.
Yeah, I would agree. Are you going to any of the excuse me, the Cubs Mets games next week, or is it too painful and annoying?
Uh, I'm not. I'll tell you how hard I'm not going. I forgot it was happening.
Well, you could. There's still time. It's a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and we live in Queens.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I could get. I mean, I could get there for sure. I could do it. Yeah, I don't. I will say I don't currently have plans to, but
That's fair.
I might. Are you? I assume you're going to one of them at least.
I'm going to one with my Mets friend who I always allude to on the podcast, Adam.
Hmm.
So I'm going, I think, on Wednesday. I
Okay.
might go to one of the other ones. I have a show one of the other nights, but
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
you know how it goes.
Yeah. It
Exactly.
makes-
That's where I stand.
It's just I wish I had the Larry David saying that on the soundboard. Just yeah, exactly. Yeah, that kind of year. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's all the.
I think that covers it. You got anything else?
No, I don't think so. Just waiting for the next Jeremiah Estrada appearance out of the bullpen. That's what I'm living for these days. Waiting for Nick Madrigal popped up singles to right field. He's getting a lot more of them these days. I'm getting pretty jacked about it. So
We gotta find what we can to be excited about in these trying times.
exactly. Follow us at Away Games Pod for live game tweets and tweets about the Cubs news in general and stuff, and on Instagram as well. And yeah, anything to plug on the way out, Adam? Before we
Oh no, just the same things. I'll be at Zany's Rosemont September 23rd and 24th. Anyone listening to this, don't buy tickets. Hit me up and I'll get you comps if you're.
there you go. Free tickets. Get in if you're a listener.
Yeah, where are you going to be? You have more Midwestern stuff or no?
I'm sure I have shows, but no one here has to worry about it. It's. I think I'm trying to think the closest shows I'll be doing to do the Cubs area. I'm going to be in Tulsa in December. If you want to put that on your
Oh,
calendars, Tulsa in December for sure. And yeah, I forget where else, but oh yeah, I was just in Minneapolis, Target Field. That was nice. Target Field was cool. So
yeah, it's a nice
that's
park.
yeah, basically B plus. It's a solid little thing. Who
At
cares?
least you were there in August. I was there in April, and it was so cold.
Yeah. No, this was it was a pleasant experience. So thumbs up to Minneapolis as a city and a stadium. And yeah, we'll be back next week, guys, with a new one. One every week till the season mercifully ends. Thanks for listening, everybody. See ya.